I've spent my entire service in the Congress trying to get us statehood. Now, I can report that this year we've gotten further than we've ever gotten except for my second term. This year, the majority leader, my good friend Harry Reid, made a full-throated endorsement of my statehood bill, and he did so at a ceremony that was also historic because we got the first statue ever. Normally these statues go for states. That's why there was resistance. For 15 years I got that statue through, and we're the only jurisdiction not yet a statue to have a statue. It's a statue of Frederick Douglass, voted by the people of the District of Columbia. But the majority leader virtually never endorses a bill, and he never co-sponsors a bill, and not only did he come out for statehood, he is co-sponsoring our statehood bill. I also have on the bill a majority of the leaders of the Senate. There are 4 of them who are leaders of the Senate, including Dick Durbin, the assistant majority leader, including Tom Copper, who is the man with jurisdiction over the District of Columbia. That's the kind of progress towards statehood that you can feel and see, and that we have made in this 1 year alone.
Would you feel put upon, since we didn't ask for opening statements, would you feel put upon if we consider that your opening statement?
Go right ahead. No, that's how I would have opened. I would have opened with what I have achieved this year, so that's fair.
So now let's hear from Nelson Ryman-Snyder, Republican running for U.S. Delegate.
Yes, we've heard a lot about how do we get the word out to the people in the states, the national media, the international media, that we are taxed without our consent. Well, to do that, we should be petitioning Congress to be exempt from federal income tax like Puerto Rico and the territories until we get voting members of Congress or statehood. Eleanor Holmes Norton had a bill in twice to do that. Got 120 Democratic co-sponsors, including the entire Democratic leadership. Now the Republicans have put in a bill to do that. She has backed away from it. I think it's time to get a bipartisan movement going to be exempt from federal income tax. And when that word gets out, that's what we're united in petitioning for. Out there in the states, you talk taxes, it gets people's attention. Just saying we're not represented in Congress does not seem to be resonating. I've been working on this for 50 years, and believe me, it's not resonating. I think we have to get united behind no vote, no tax. And I have your refund checks available tonight. Please get one before you go. And your bumpers.
Natalie Lena Stracuzzi. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, sir.
Natalie? Yes. Go ahead, please, with your opening statement.
First of all, we have to look at what's going on right now in Russia and with Ukraine. This is an international talking point that's preached democracy around the world. Because again, the U.S. is sitting there standing up for them, but they're not standing up for the residents of the District of Columbia. And when you look at D.C., we voted on it as a referendum. And like anybody else, they were inducted into our union on equal footing, and not the District of Columbia. And that's what we need to make it bigger than life, because this is one of the biggest civil rights issues we have. We have to stop this endless rule of Jim Crow over the District of Columbia, and also to end this type of treason that's happening to our country and the residents of the city. It is us and not them, because again, we have just as many rights as the states do, because we voted on it and they denied us. So let's fight for statehood and keep it going, because again, right now is the time. What's going on around the world gives us that international talking point. So let's stand up for DC and let's push this issue a little stronger and harder. Thank you. Vote for statehood.
What effect will that have on the movement for statehood? Eleanor Holmes Norton.
Well, I tell you, the Tea Party Republicans don't care what color you are. They are against statehood for the District of Columbia, so I wouldn't want to fool you to say that if we all turn white tonight, we could get statehood. But I do want to say something about my having sponsored this bill to get no taxes. I did so twice as a stunt. Let me tell you why I did it. Ever since I've been in the Congress, whatever progress I've made for this city, I've made in the minority. I've been in the majority very few years. Most of my more than 20 years in the Congress have been spent while I'm in the minority. So the Republicans were in the majority. Since they're for not paying taxes, I said, okay, I'll put in a bill not to paying taxes. I knew this bill would not go anywhere, but I wanted to just throw it in their faces. But let me tell you why I never would have pushed that bill. We are a whole lot better off than what they would make us if we agreed to pay no taxes. Name me a state that pays no taxes, friends. If you want to not pay any taxes, you will be a territory. If you are a territory, you lose your per capita funds. Unlike the territories, we get the same per capita as every single state. I work with my five territories all the time just to get them more money because they don't get what we don't want to become a territory.
Nelson, Ryan Snyder.
Yes, well, to look at who supports no vote, no tax. The Reverend Jesse Jackson, Sr., when he ran for shadow senator, that was his platform. And he was supported at the time by Mayor Barry. 2 months after that, he announces a campaign. Patrick Buchanan wrote an op-ed piece supporting it. The Washington Times editorialized supporting it. The Northwest Current editorialized supporting it. The Wade Henderson of the Leadership Conference on Civil Rights testified in favor of Mrs. Norton's bill. The Lawyers Committee on Civil Rights supported it. The Cato Institute has supported it. The Heritage Foundation. We have the support across the board, illogical. And that's what we should get behind. That'll get the attention of the country. Taxes gets people's ears up, gets their attention. And that's what we should be doing.
Natalie Sarkozy.
Well, myself, I think that this is something that will not work for the residents, because what it does is going to hurt the working poor, because again, we collect refunds through those taxes that we pay in federal government, and this would take away from families getting that money that they need to go out and buy things when they get their refunds, and that boosts our economy in the District of Columbia and surrounding areas, and I know, because I'm an independent sales rep. Tax season brings in more money in my pocket. So by doing away with the taxes is not a logical, feasible thing, because again, it does not work for us, because it's just going to hurt the working poor and the people that live in this country. We'll lose our child credit, and we'll lose a lot of other issues there. The District of Columbia needs to work on becoming our 51st state as we planned on in the beginning. Because again, without us, the federal government has nothing. They need our police support, because whenever there's an event, who do they come to? They need our firemen and EMTs, because again, they cannot handle these type of scenarios on their own. We are needed more than they need us, because again, they need us more than we need them. I mean, and remember, a vote for Sarkozy is a vote for statehood.
Nelson Ryan Snyder, how would you rank the movement for statehood among the district's priorities?
Well, I would say it's very low, because the council passed a law 10222 in 1974 that said the official policy of the District of Columbia is to petition Congress that we be exempt from federal income taxation until we're represented in both houses of Congress. That's the official policy of the city. Do you hear any of our elected officials advocating that, petitioning Congress? No. That's the official policy. Look it up. DC Act 10222. So no, there is nothing there. You know, that's the way to go for statehood. Get the word out there. Enforce DC Act 10222. We're not. Our elected officials are not doing it. Tell them about it.
Natalie Sarkozy, how would you rank the movement for statehood among the district's priorities?
I feel that the District of Columbia doesn't make it the biggest priority as it should be. As the mayor says, one city, this needs to be one fight. Now, I created a flag with 51 stars, which Clinton Yates said that this was the most original idea that he's seen for statehood in a long time. I'd like to honor one of this woman because it is something that I feel she does deserve based on that. But again, we have to start thinking outside the box. Because again, if we keep going the same way, we're not going to get anywhere. We're talking about over 2.5 centuries of second-class citizens that are residents of the District of Columbia. This is a crime wave like no other, and we need to push it in that manner to make people understand that it has to change. Because again, we are the District of Columbia, and under my leadership, I will push to make us our 51st state.
Eleanor Holmes Norton, how would you rank the movement for statehood among the district's priorities?
You know, the word movement is a very important word here. I've just come from Mississippi, where I spent when I was in SNCC, where I spent a great deal of time, and from Selma this past weekend. A movement, yet we wouldn't say that the Mississippi movement is still going. In DC, we've had to keep a movement going for 212 years. It's very difficult. Yes, I think the mayor and the city council members, people all endorse and look for openings for statehood. But there's no free lunch in this. It is something that has to be pushed every week. There has to be a way to keep it going. When Stand Up and the coalition met with me, and we came upon some ways to keep it going rather than have it come up, that's what we need to do, and I'm going to continue to work with them after we do Emancipation Week to arouse the city. Look, they got $3 billion of your money. They have been in charge almost the entire time I've been in Congress. The Republicans, who are for no taxes for anybody, if they meant taxation to be a serious issue, we would have statehood now. They want your taxes, and they would die before they gave you statehood. The only way to get statehood is the way we got things when we were in Mississippi and Alabama. Right. Nothing will be given to you. There's no easy way out. This is a struggle. It's a day-to-day struggle. That's what we're gonna have to make it until the District of Columbia becomes the 51st state of the United States of America.
In the absence of the representative